You're listening to Ask When, the podcast. Folks from all walks of life talk about their daily hustle and bustle, living and celebrating life, sharing tips on becoming champions, especially for those who are muscling mental and physical disabilities. Ask When, the podcast, with your host who has mustered over 30 years living with cerebral palsy and going strong. Author and cerebral palsy advocate Wynn Charles. Ask When, the podcast starts right now.
Welcome to Ask When, everyone. This morning with me I have John, and so I'm going to let John take it away and share his story just with you guys, and then I'm going to ask him a couple of questions, and we're just going to have a natural conversation like we always do. So welcome, John.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here. So my name is John Racine. I am professionally a human resources expert who is looking to transition out, and I'm starting my own consulting company. I'm probably the world's biggest Disney fan and nut. It was my first job when I got out of college. I follow the company and use a lot of their modeling in what I do professionally as far as customer service and taking care of people.
Well, that is, I guess we should use the model of Walt Disney. Jeez.
Yeah, I think that they do so many things really well. And I remember vividly when I worked there as a cast member, which is what they call employees, it was all about the customer and creating memorable, magical experiences. And you take care of those guests as if they were family in your own home. And that's just something that I've carried with me throughout my entire career as I transitioned out of food and beverage, because by trade, I was actually a chef and a restaurant manager, and eventually transitioned over into human resources. But the lessons that I learned at Disney are pretty universal, and I've carried them with me since those days back at the Mouse House.
Okay, John, now I have a more serious question for you. This has nothing to do with my baseline questions, you guys. I just transferred out of, I got laid off. Let's be honest. I got laid off my job because my job didn't have a plan to put in place for coronavirus. And then they said to me, self-isolation is the best thing for you. And I said, bye, guys. I won't be returning this school year ever again because you guys didn't have a plan for me to begin with. And so that was the school that I taught at. And so when it comes to HR and when it comes to equal opportunity employment, as we in the disability sector like to call it, what should employers do, John? Because you're the HR expert here, I am not. And so I try and say I tried and said to a W-2 employer twice now, I want to be useful. I want to be useful. But at the same time, they weren't necessarily looking at my gifts and talents.
You know, that's always the conundrum, and it reminds me back when I was in college. You can't get a job without experience, but you can't get experience without a job. So which comes first, the chicken or the egg? From a human resources perspective, and I wish more human resources professionals viewed it this way, but there's many that don't. My take on it is there are what I call transferable skills. Anything from organizational skills because you're a stay-at-home parent to cooking skills because you're feeding your family. There are absolutely transferable skills that every person has. And in the process of applying and interviewing for whatever position it might be, you look at that job description and identify what are the core functions of that job. and look at your experience that you have and make it transferable. Another thing, I went through the housing bubble a few years back, 2008 to 2010-ish, and I had some incredibly highly qualified and in many cases overqualified people applying for jobs because of all of the job loss. I had a lot of people that had gaps in their employment, obviously, because they lost their jobs, much like we're seeing right now with furloughing, layoffs, and everything that's continuing to happen.
Yeah.
So what are you filling that downtime with? Is it something that will help you with your career as it stands post-coronavirus, or a new career field that you explore after the coronavirus? So I think this becomes a real time of development for an individual, and put that on a resume. Most resumes are going to be chronologically based. Usually the most recent employer is going to be at the top, and a gap is going to stand out. It's going to scream. So maximize that. And, was eliminated out of my position, but during that time, I learned French, or I gained this skill. And I think that's really where you have to hone it. And if you're in an interview process with someone who doesn't recognize those skills, then I would challenge you if that's the right role for you and the right company for you at that time.
Yes. Yes. You took the words right out of my mouth, John. When I was, now I won't say forced because I love my mom dearly, but I was kind of put in a position by my own mom to go into the education field, which the education field hated me. And so now, since I got laid off, I'm actually, well, before I got laid off, I was going back to school anyway to get my journalism degree. And so now, post coronavirus, I'll be a full freelance journalist.
Yeah, that's brilliant. That's a great idea. I was going to say, and I don't need to say it now because you're going down the journalism route, but I was going to say with that education background, there are tremendous opportunities because so many parents don't know how to homeschool their children. Or maybe we look at a little bit older students that this is a great time to college prep. But I love the journalism route because we're seeing that news is the leading thing right now, whether it's in print, online, or on television. I think that's a brilliant move with your background.
Well, thank you. Thank you for saying that. And a lot of people are cheering me on right now. A lot of people behind the scenes are like cheering me on. They're saying we need you in the journalism field quicker than you want to think, Win. So get out of that schooling and get into the journalism field. But I agree with you um, that during this time of uncertainty, we should all be learning new skills.
Absolutely. I was speaking to somebody on a podcast yesterday, another person with an education background, and I said the same thing. We have been given the gift of time. You may not view it right now as a gift, but it is absolutely a gift if you're quarantining, working from home remotely, whatever the case may be. So maximize that time to develop a new skill or to hone a skill that you've already got. In your case with the journalism, you could just start writing blogs and become a guest blog poster to create your portfolio. People can do that with just about any industry to get in there and start something, but you have to start with the development piece. Is it okay to sit and watch Netflix and binge on something? I think it is, because I think we have to honor the positions that we're in right now. There's a lot going on and nobody knows when or how it's going to end. So honor that position, but don't wallow in it, and use that as an impetus to start something different or start something new.
And you guys, you won't believe this, but I am almost out of shel- I'm almost out of shelter in place mode because the Colorado governor has said you can come out of shelter in place mode the 26th of April. And so, as we're recording this, it's the 23rd. So, I'm almost done with my shelter in place. But even though they say it's better to be at home. And so we're seeing a light at the end of the tunnel.
I agree. I'm in Florida right now, and the
Yeah.
governor is starting to talk about reopening plans. So, yeah, we're getting there. I know there's still a lot of naysayers that say maybe it's too soon, but I think people are anxious to get back to, and I'm air quoting here, I know you can't see it, a normal existence, a normal life, and whatever new normal is going to mean. So, as long as we continue to practice the things that we've been doing, like hand washing and covering coughs, I think we're going to be okay. I'm not a doctor. I don't pretend to be one, but I am a type 1 diabetic. I'm one of the most at risk in this because of my autoimmune disorder, and I've, knock on wood, have stayed healthy throughout.
I am with you, John, in that disability camp. I have cerebral palsy, and the CDC decided to put me and probably you on the list because I of my neurological disability, aka CP. So there we go. So that's why John and I, even when we do open back up, John and I stayed away from you people as long as we can.
Absolutely. And, even in the HR world where I still am professionally as I'm building out my consulting business, HR's gone so digital that it's very rare where you're seeing a candidate in person or an
Yeah.
employee in person. I mean, obviously we want to keep that touch. We still want to be humans in human resources, but I think that's going to evolve as well. And I think industries are finding that there are effective ways to do that. So it's going to be a massive transformation for industries after this. And I'm excited to see what comes.
I am too. And so, John, if your best friend had to write a book about you, what would the title be?
Wow. Let's see. I would have to say it would be He is the Best of Friends.
He is the best of friends. Wow,
Yes, he
that
hasn't done. Yeah, my best friend and I. So I think that's what he would say.
wow, that's amazing. He is the best of friends. And what is your favorite book? And what is the title?
My favorite book and title would probably have to be Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, because I think it instills some of the financial fundamentals that so many people lack or could definitely use.
So, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Now, for those of you who are listening to this evergreen or when it comes out in the next couple weeks, you can still use Libby and Overdrive. Libby is part of the library systems all across the US, and Overdrive is another form that libraries are used. So go get Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and get John's favorite book entitled, please. And I know that so right now, the Audible is giving a discount, and I know that Kindle Unlimited is also giving a discount, but it's easier to pick it up from the library and get it that way.
Absolutely, great advice there. I haven't been to a library in forever, and it reminds me I should probably go get a card again.
Ah, well, no, a lot of people haven't. A lot of people, I actually have a library going, but mine got defunct, so I needed to get a new one. And I yeah, a lot of people haven't gone to the library in forever, especially now, because so it's funny that you mentioned that, God. Yikes. Now, you mentioned that people are gonna be running to get to the library, goes, at least calling the libraries. Now, so John, what is your morning routine?
So my morning routine is usually I get up pretty early. It's still fairly dark out, and I go into a meditation practice, pre-recorded, that I pop on my headphones for. After that, I usually get up and shower, head to the gym when the gyms are open. I work out, then I go into the office where I do my human resources work, spend a good portion of the day there, come home after that and start working on my business. But the morning routine is definitely built around the meditation, exercise, and being healthy.
And so, John, where do you see yourself in the next year?
Right now I am building up my consulting business, and I see myself walking away from the W-2 working world and running my own company, helping people and businesses to achieve goals, overcome challenges. So that's what I see in the next 12 months.
Well, I'll be following your journey and seeing if you succeed, which I have a funny feeling that you will because you sound like it to me. And so, John, as we wrap this interview up, do you have any questions for me?
Well, we've talked a little bit about what you're doing during this pandemic. What do you see for yourself after this? And I know we've already talked a little bit about the challenges that you have, but what do you see for yourself?
I see myself in the freelance journalism world. I see, hopefully, I find a happier um, position doing what I love. Hopefully, my dream is, well, people say that newspapers are dying and printed journalism is dying. Everyone is turning digital, including the newspapers. But my ultimate dream, my dream job would be to be um, working remotely for the New York Times. So hopefully, hopefully I get that, but I'll take um, anything that journalism gives me right now. I will not take anything. I will not take anything that education gives me. Me, no, nope, 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 nope. I will not. There's no way I will be walking into the education sector. No, thank you. Journalism, unless it's something having to do with journalism, then I don't mind walking into the education sector. But the education sector, strictly without journalism, there's no way.
Excellent. So I want to leave you with something that I've used in my life, and obviously yourself and your listeners could definitely do this. And it's the power of the subconscious mind. And the subconscious mind hears everything that we say, and it guides us in so many different ways. So I would challenge you and all of your listeners to take out the words like hope and when and no and replace it to the positives, unless it is when I am a freelance author or as I'm running my consulting business. So use that so that your subconscious hears it and will make it happen for you. It's very, very powerful, and I've seen the change in my life as I've changed my word patterns.
Well, that's a good note to end on. But for right now, you guys, stay safe, stay happy, stay strong, and yes, we all see the light at the end of the tunnel. I never thought I would say that. I never thought I would say that. Considering I've been sheltered in place since coming home from Orlando slash Winter Park and more of the Orlando area. But I never thought I would say we're almost at the light of end of the tunnel, you guys. There is a light, and stay safe, stay happy, stay strong, and I appreciate your support. I also appreciate John's support. John, where can people find you if they choose to do so?
My website is johnracine.com, and on all social media, it's John Racine Jr., JR at the end instead of spelling it out.
Yep.
So Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook are all there.
Yep. Okay, go nicely social stalk John, you guys, because John will help these solo entrepreneurs out with HR stuff. And so now is the time to help John build his company. And so, John, I want to thank you again for coming on Ask Win and sharing your story. And good luck, you guys. And I will catch you guys later. Bye, you guys.
You just listened to Ask Win, the podcast. To become a guest in the show, visit our website at askwin.weebly.com or call 816-591-3399. Just look for Danielle. Connect with Win on Twitter at WinKellyCharles and like our Facebook page at Butterflies of Wisdom. You can also purchase Win's book through Amazon.com or get a copy of the audiobook through Audible. Ask Win, the podcast.